How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.
My name is Jonathan Gillum.
And this is The Experts. This is Jonathan Gillum, and this is The Experts on Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. Sort of on YouTube. So, great way to start the week out. Feeling a little bit better, and got my leg nice and propped up here. So, and get this, I'm getting away from the crutches. I'm now a crusty old man with a cane. How about that? Get out of here, you whippersnappers. So, yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. I've been talking to my sources from the Bureau and the DOJ, and the Bureau is not looking good. And no matter what these, I'm sure we're going to have trolls tonight, no matter what the trolls say, no matter what, what the leftists say in this country, man, there's a witch hunt going on for Trump that is so unethical and so biased that it's like a joke. It really is. So let's get started, and we will talk about all this stuff Boom, shakalaka. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. Now, I'm assuming we have sound on Twitter. People are giving me hearts. I don't know if we do. I just want to make sure. If somebody says if we don't have sound, let me know. And so let's see who else here real quick. I haven't given a lot of love to Facebook on the chat stuff. I usually just watch. Oh, there's my good buddy Mr. Casper tuning in there on Facebook. Good to see you, my friend. And it's good to see that you're back for a fortnight. And let's see who else is on here. Let's see here what everybody's saying. Man, we got people from all over this country. Bruce may be a troll. Okay, well, Bruce, we'll find out. He said, I'm not on Oxycontin. I'm on oxycodone, unfortunately, which is why the only reason why I'm able to do this show right now. We'll see. Bruce, just admit if you're a troll. I don't know if you are or not. Somebody just said that. It's interesting. I don't suggest this for most people that have had or are going to have. Don't do it before you're going to have an operation. But after you've had an operation, if you want to go and look at the operation, you can go on YouTube and find pretty much a film of any operation that's occurred. And hello, Kitty Kelly. And so I went and looked a video up of the type of knee surgery that I had. Wow. And you know what? I haven't even shown anybody exactly. You know how I love to draw these pictures. So let me just draw you a picture of what happened here. So you got your leg, and I'm going to draw this if I can. You got your leg, you got this muscle that comes down here, and you'll see once I get it down here. You got these other muscles that come here. Now, I may be drawing these completely wrong. I'm no doctor, okay? And then you got this muscle that comes here. And then here's your kneecap. Now, I'm going to show you that the tendon is going to be in black, okay? So this is your thigh. And then down here comes your calf. And then your foot. That's a big calf. Okay. Something's wrong with this guy's foot. Okay. So here you go. This is my drawing on medication, okay? So here's the thigh. See, there's the foot. Now you can kind of see this looks more like a stork's leg than anything. So this is the kneecap right here. This black thing is a tendon, and it goes about 5 inches, maybe off, maybe 4 inches up. And you see there's the three muscle groups of your quad. All of these different muscles attach to this tendon at some place. Like this one on the outside of your leg will attach right here. These two muscles in the middle of your quad attach at the top. And then this teardrop muscle attaches on the side. What I did was I tore this straight across right here, just tore it completely off. So the video that I watched this weekend, because I was really wanting to see what it was. Normally, if there was a tendon attached there, you would see all this stuff together and you would see it bend like this. Well, when the doctor had the knee cut open and he bent the knee, or bent the leg, it all went like this. So there was this big tear in there. Whew. It'll make you sweat watching that after you've had surgery. So very interesting. Modern medicine is so unbelievably, I don't want to say advanced. It's somewhat chaotic, or what's the word I'm looking for here? It's somewhat archaic in the way of that, you're still going in there. It always cracks me up the way doctors go in. And we all think of when they're going to do an operation and cut somebody open, they're going to be very delicate in the way that they move things. But, man, these doctors are like, all right, this is where it's messed up, and see how it splits here, and we're going to attach this. And it's like they're not easy on you at all. I mean, trust me, I know since I've been through SEAL training, the body can do amazing things, things that you would never, and modern science can't even comprehend or explain. But yes, Sharon says duct tape works as well. It did. I was thinking about duct taping it. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that has some kind of, and put some WD-40 on there. That might have some qualities of some type of a healing process in there. I don't know. Let me think about that. So, but once they get in there, these doctors, they're rough and tumble with that stuff. They're pulling it together. They're moving around because they understand and they have experience. But one thing that's very interesting about it, and I'm going to kind of put this towards what we're talking about tonight, is as I watched this video of them repairing this quadricep tendon, somebody said ligament, but according to what my doctor said, it's a tendon, is that the way all these muscles, I never fully understood how the muscles work and attach and how the tension is there. Like I got this janky pinky right there. See that pinky? That doesn't straighten. That's as far as that goes. It's like a trigger finger. And that's because I believe the tendon on that slipped when I was playing football once. And so that's always going to be that way. So, but all these things work very intricately, but it's very simple. Now, the human body is very complex. Don't get me wrong. But when you look at the process in which all these things work, it's actually it's like looking at when an engineer puts together an engine or a suspension system or builds a building. I mean, everything makes sense. Like you would expect the muscles to connect to something that allows tension to occur in there, so the muscles can expand and contract. The ligaments and the tendons don't do that. So you would, if you see what's going to connect to the bone, you would expect something that's more rigid. So all these things, when you look at it from somebody or from an engineering standpoint, the body is engineered. It wasn't a mistake. It didn't just happen. It's well engineered, and it's pretty phenomenal the way this whole thing has the way the Lord made this whole body that I have. So how am I gonna put that over to what we're talking about today? Well, whenever you create something, whenever humans create stuff, like let's say the FBI, we created the FBI, you're gonna find that when things work, the difference between the FBI should be and a Ponzi scheme is that a Ponzi scheme in business never really has an end, right? So as I was talking about how the knee and the muscles and the tendons, and the bone, how those things are set up in a way to where, you got the muscles that contract and expand. You got the material, the tendon that doesn't, right? They're attached, and that's attached to a bone. So there's some flexibility and rigidity at the same time. So there's all this redundancy put in there where you can tear this and then tear that and then break that. There's a reason for all these things, and there is a beginning and an end to the way that these things work. When you look at a Ponzi scheme, there's no end to it, right? It's built on lies, and it's built on taking people's money and moving it around and giving out promises, and then eventually, if they have to give them some money, you give them other people's money. You go out and get more investors to come on board, and so that's the way an illegal criminal Ponzi scheme would work. Well, see, the FBI was supposed to be more like a human body. The government should be set up more like a human body where, you have this needs to happen in order to monitor, in order to what's the word I'm looking here for? Regulate, in order to fix these problems, in order to defend. You're going to have this part of the government that does this much, and in collusion with this part of the government, so they can battle this enemy, and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? There's a reason for all these things, and they each have their own purpose and set of missions or set of things that they have to carry out. Sorry, I'm a little spacey in my head just because of this pain medication. So there's a reason for each section of the government. There should be, not unlike a Ponzi scheme and other criminal activity for that matter. So when we look at what the FBI has become, what we're starting to see, and I think this started with Mueller when he systematically turned the FBI into an intelligence agency from really it was a crime-fighting agency, a law enforcement agency. It's now become an intelligence agency. And you look at the people, which is very interesting. This actually just came to me in my drug-induced mind here that, well, I'll talk about this here in a second. So remember, when Mueller started mucking around with the FBI back when I was in, he came in right at the end of the Bush administration, went through Obama. He changed the FBI. He eliminated their ability to do a lot of the investigations that they had done before to the full extent that they were able to do them. He turned it into an information collection agency, not just, and in fact made the DOJ stronger, not the FBI stronger. It actually weakened the FBI's crime fighting abilities in a lot of ways and strengthened the DOJ's ability to manipulate information. Now, they may have said it was to get convictions, and that's where they strengthened the DOJ. But as we're seeing now, this many years later, it's really the ability to manipulate information. Wherever there's going to be information collected, there's going to be people manipulating that information. And that's what we really see now when we look at the FBI and the DOJ this many years later. After Mueller's gone, now he's a special counsel. So when we look at the things that have come out in the past couple of days, it's not the things that have happened so much as they happened last year, but they've come out in the past couple of days. We're starting to see that there's clear evidence that at the upper echelons of the Bureau, there's lying, there is collusion with a particular political party and many politicians. We find that there is, sorry if I'm adjusting around here, I got to move around a little bit to stay comfortable. We're starting to see that the FBI's upper echelons lie. We're starting to see proof of what I've always constantly been saying, that those individuals, the senior executive service people at the top of the FBI, basically maybe not handpicked, but in a roundabout way they are, because they're not going to pick people to come up there. Remember, somebody has to promote these people, and they're not going to promote people that are going to cause waves in their lifestyles, not just their job, but in their lifestyles there at the top. Do you think if they promoted somebody who was just an absolute warrior for justice and they promoted that person to the very top, do you really think that McCabe and this other individual, what's his name here, the guy that just came out about his, yeah, here it is here. He's the agent that wasn't fired from the FBI. He was fired from the investigation, the Russian probe. His last name is Peter. Man, how do you say this again? Let me see this. Let's let Siri say it. Come on, Siri. Hold on. Strzok. Peter Strzok. So he's the FBI agent that was going around apparently sleeping with a support person in the Bureau and having an affair. And somehow the text messages that they were sending back and forth about how much they hate Trump got out. And so he ended up, because of that, and it showed, trust me, it didn't show to the Bureau and to those people that are investigating the Trump administration and that were investigating Clinton. It didn't show them that this guy's a bad guy. It publicly exposed what they all feel. That's what I believe, and I think there's clear evidence of that. So they had to get rid of him. But here's what's interesting, and this is what was popping in my mind a second ago. According to my sources and what's been reported, they didn't fire this guy from the Bureau. That's clearly evident. Nor did they remove him and keep him at the same level or demote him. Here's what they did. This is what the Bureau always does. And if there's people that are in the federal government that I'm looking at the different chats here, you're going to understand exactly what I'm about to say. This guy, Peter, let's say his name again. Strzok. Thank you. Peter Strzok. Well, let's say his name like this from now on. Hold on, I got to plug this in. Let's see here. Hold on. Let's just do it right now. From now on, when I go to mention his name, we'll just do it like this. The FBI agent that was caught sending text messages that was part of the investigation, his name is
Peter Strzok.
There you go. So he is he didn't get demoted. He got promoted. That's right. I'm telling you the truth, folks. Nobody else has said this on television at all. That guy got promoted. He was the section chief of counterintelligence in the DOJ, and he got promoted to deputy assistant director of HR. Now, yeah, he went from investigating counterintelligence to being head over HR, but let's look at this, okay? Let's look at the reality of this. This guy who was a part of the Clinton, the whole thing with Clinton in the emails, the meeting on the tarmac, all these things that James Comey basically was the judge and jury on and let her off. This guy,
Peter Strzok.
That's FBI Special Agent
Peter Strzok.
He was the guy who lessened the language that Comey used when he went up and said that I don't know, he was basically making excuses for Hillary Clinton when he gave that 14-minute speech with all the reasons why she should be charged, and then did 1 minute at the end of that speech saying that he wasn't going to charge her. This guy lessened some of that speech in there, so he was an integral part in this, handpicked integral part of this. And he was like some people are describing him as a superstar in the counterintelligence world, which is another interesting thing about this guy. All right, so he's an intel guy. He knows how this stuff works. He knows how the games work. He knows propaganda. He knows subversion. He knows all this stuff. So they pick him. He's also a leftist, which we understand now. And he goes and does these text messages while he's sleeping with a support employee, and he gets caught. And they promote him, right? Sleeping with a support employee. I can guarantee you the text messages that they were sending were on their bureau-issued equipment, like their BlackBerries or iPhones, whatever they have now, and that's why they got caught. Almost guarantee you this. I don't know that for sure, but I can almost guarantee it. He got caught doing that, being biased, showing bias in investigation. And what do they do? Not only do they promote him, they promote him to head of HR. Now, what does that remind you of? It reminds me of the same nonsense that the Democratic Party played with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, where she got fired from the DNC or was asked to resign from head of the DNC and then was put in charge of Hillary Clinton's campaign. You see, these people all are a part. It's not like they are all individual bad people. They are all part of a criminal enterprise. You have to realize this. Nobody else is going to spell this out for you this way. I'm the only one that's going to spell this out, unless they watch this show and then they go and talk about this, which I'm not so sure they don't do that sometimes. Because I see reporters talking about stuff that either their sources watch this show and they get this, or they watch this show themselves and get it. Because the way I'm laying this out, nobody else is going to lay this out. No one. And that is something that the American people should realize is happening, is that you are not dealing with a few bad apples. You're dealing with an entire rotten bucket of apples that work together in unison, period. So think about this, okay? There's evidence that they used the dossier, this fake dossier that was written about Trump, that was basically done by Fusion GPS, which is a private company that used a former intel agent from Great Britain. They came up and made up this stuff about Trump, gave it to people that hated Trump in the Republican Party, also in the Democratic Party, and the FBI used that information, right? Not to get the FISAs. The FISAs were already out there. They used that fake information to unmask General Flynn and President Trump, then candidate Trump, and all these other people. They use that information so they could go before a FISA court and say, we need to unmask, or however they do it. I don't know. Actually, I'm not an expert in unmasking because I was never on that side of the house. But they use that to go unmask these people as evidence to unmask who they were, and then they leaked that information. This guy, Special Agent
Peter Strzok,
was one. I love that. Was one of the people that was involved in this whole thing, right? So if you think that he got fired from the investigation, remember, not fired from the Bureau, he actually got promoted in the Bureau. But if you think he got fired from the investigation because he was biased, you're crazy. He got fired from the investigation because he got caught with those text messages for whatever reason, somehow, some way, and they had to remove him from the criminal enterprise. If he had done something that was wrong in their eyes, if he had done something that was illegal or unethical in their eyes, he would now be in a position of limbo, getting ready to be fired or asked to resign from the Bureau. That's not the case. He got promoted to not only a deputy assistant director, but deputy assistant director of HR, where they're now going to monitor other people for doing the same types of stuff that he did. You see, that is the way a criminal organization works. So this should all be making more sense to you folks. The FBI is a tool. The DOJ is a tool. The intelligence community is a tool that these two political parties can utilize. Now, remember, that's one of the reasons why I want to pull my hair out sometimes, what little hair I have left, because I see President Trump not utilizing the full aspects of these agencies that he could be using to put himself in a better light and actually dig faster than they're actually putting this stuff out. The president could be doing this, and he's not doing this. Why? Well, because I think he's an ethical person. Yeah, I know the trolls are going to love that. He's an ethical person that is going to stick by the rules, whereas if this was the Obama administration, I can guarantee you, first of all, nobody would have ever recused themselves in the Obama administration like Jeff Sessions did. And they would have been using every aspect of these agencies because all these people at the top have been put in positions over a long period of time. They would have been utilizing these people for their own benefit. Trump is not doing that. Maybe because he can't, because those people are just not going to do it, and it may be because it may just be because Trump's ethical and he's not going to go down the road, or it may be because he doesn't realize it because he's surrounded himself. And this is one of my biggest criticisms for the president is he surrounded himself with a bunch of nothing burgers, people who don't know how to do the job. They're just been executives and retreads. That's all. Well, somebody says on Twitter, so that he's going to sit back and let them put him in jail. I don't. To tell you the truth, I don't know. I can't figure out this train of thought, and I don't know. So let's see here. Did that guy end up being the troll that somebody was talking about? Let's see here. Hold on. Well, let me know. If anybody sees a troll on Facebook especially, just let me know. Who am I blocking on Twitter? I don't want to get into this all night. Let's see. Well, you know what? Just don't even. I was watching somebody else's show the other day on Twitter. You can't stay ahead of these people. Yeah. Listen, here's the best thing to do. Don't engage those trolls. Let those trolls exist, because actually, you know what's happening is they're populating my show and they're making my show look even more popular. So let them do their own thing. And if you're here to watch this show on Twitter for the right reasons, just have a conversation with yourselves. Don't worry about those people. So, yeah. All right, what's the other thing we're going to talk about tonight? Because I can't stay in here too long because of my leg. Let's see here. What I got up here. Oh, yes. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that? I'll entertain some questions if you have questions about what we just talked about. Deep breaths. Learning how to breathe with his leg. All right. What do I think about Christopher Wray? I think Christopher Wray, remember what I said, I may have said this on Newsmax. I was on Newsmax earlier doing an interview with them, and was also on NRA television, which I've been doing a regular spot with them on Mondays now at about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I guess I'm not going to be guest hosting on Newsmax anymore for the 5 p.m. show because I think they found, at least for a period of time, they found a female host to fill that spot. So that's okay. Now I can be the guest that comes on and rants, which I don't mind that as well. So let's see here. What was I just going to say? Oh, Christopher Wray, that's what it was. I think Christopher Wray is, and I think I did say this on Newsmax. The DOJ consistently puts people out there to be promoted with the president. They work with the administrations to put names forward that are former DOJ attorneys to lead the FBI. This is because they want to control the FBI. Remember, they don't want to allow the FBI to be their own law enforcement agency because they'll turn around and end up investigating all these criminals, and that's not what the DOJ wants. The DOJ is there. I know we think of the DOJ and the FBI to investigate crimes and federal crimes across the country and to take down criminal enterprises. That's what the agents are there for, but the executives are there, and both of those agencies are there to support and uplift the politicians in the two political parties. That's basically what they're all about. So, let's see. Let's go to the next topic here. Sorry if I'm getting a little bit off. I'm trying not to look at Twitter. You really have to not pay attention to these trolls because they're just that. Most of these people, this is what's interesting. Let me just take a little time to talk about this real quick. I saw this watching the different news agencies, and then also Sean Hannity, when I was on his show last Thursday, tweeted out that I was going to be coming up to talk about all these different sexual predators that have been in politics and in media and stuff, Matt Lauer and some other people. And so a lot of these trolls, these leftists, they're very organized, right? You can say what you want. I talk about how weird they are all the time. Most of them, they couldn't get a date if they tried. Most of them are rich kids that stink and they don't take baths or showers. They're just like this Occupy Wall Street people. They're all on some type of medication. They all have the latest Apple products because their parents buy them for them. They don't work. They don't serve. They don't do anything but hang out. That's pretty much those people who are really strong in the Democratic Party, these millennials. That's basically who I'm describing here. And so that's who a lot of these trolls are, and they're disgusting people. But at the same time, the fact is that they're well organized. They do have their newsletters, and they know social media very well. They don't take showers, so they have plenty of time to scratch each other's backs and figure out what their next tactic is. And this also comes, it's not just these young millennial people. Let's look at Bill Ayers in Chicago. Let's look at the Obamas, the Clintons, all these people. They're all very organized in the way that they do things. Even when you look at it in media, they have different conservative commentators come on there, and they lay down the law. They say, this is what's wrong. This is where Trump is screwing up. This is where the leftists in the DOJ and the FBI and all these people are doing stuff. And they speak their own mind. They don't follow the narrative. They follow the narrative of truth a lot of the time. Sometimes they're GOP spokespeople, which is just as bad as the left. So, but overall, conservatives and people who are concerned with conservative ideologies and morals and ethics in this country, they're not organized. And so what you have is you'll have a show like we have here on Twitter or on Facebook where you have, 50 or 100 people watching, and they'll inundate it with these trolls. And that's what's interesting. When I was looking at this tweet that Hannity put out last week when I was going to be on the show, and all these people came on there, and they all have like 4 to 20 followers on Twitter, and they all look like a bunch of grunge baskets. And so they all come out and say the exact same thing. It's as if they've shared the narrative, or they have specific guidelines of what they're going to say. First, it was mostly aimed towards Sean, talking about how, why aren't you talking about Roy Moore, which he did extensively? Why aren't you talking about President Trump and all his rape? Well, rapes. I've never heard of President Trump raping anybody. I've heard of a few women who made allegations with Gloria Allred. That ruins their credibility, and then they went away. And that was mostly touching type of issues, which according to the Democratic Party and Al Franken, not a big deal, not against a law or anything like that, according to what the Democratic Party is saying about Al Franken. So, but that's interesting because they'll totally ignore that when they talk about President Trump and a comment that was made on a bus in joking manner. And by the way, Billy Bush, you should shut up and take your pretty face back over to whatever talent agency that handles you and go away. You're an idiot. And he comes out and tries to make himself, make himself relevant again in the New York Times doing an op-ed, and it didn't do anything. It didn't even make a blip on the radar of importance. So anyway, getting back to this tweet that Hannity put out. And so they were first saying all this stuff. Well, Hannity has talked about the Trump accusations. He has talked about Roy Moore. In fact, he held Roy Moore to the fire. They don't bring that up, right? They just get this narrative, and then they just start tweeting it out over and over and over again. That's all they do. They have a narrative, and they stick by it. And so I kept thinking to myself, and then when I'm watching the news, it's the same thing. There was a guy on Martha McCollum's show tonight, a complete liar, saying stuff out of his mouth that just was absolutely not true. It just wasn't true. But he's one of a dozen or more of these political pundits that the left puts on TV, and they spew the same stuff over and over and over again. So I kept thinking to myself, why on earth doesn't the right, or let's say, forget the right, the realistic thinkers in this world, the people who see the reality, why aren't we organized? And I've been talking about that for, I got the CQ, this isn't it, the CQRF mug. We talk about the CQRF all the time. We started doing this last year. Why aren't we organized? I've tried to do this so many times with the CQRF to get people to go after these people, but everybody wants to do it their way. They want to do their own thing. They want to have their own opinion, and they don't want to get a narrative and then shove it out. It's very easy what they do. It's a very easy tactic, but nobody wants to work together on this. And so when we look at weirdos like, what's her name from, Joy, wait, let me see here real quick. Let me look this up. From The View. Yeah, let's see here. Or the guy from ABC News that gave out the fake news. We don't see people going after them together as a whole. Joy Behar. Let me see if I can even pull up this video of her. She's such a freaking doofus. That's like the best word for her. Watch this right here.
ABC News' Brian Ross is reporting Michael Flynn promised full cooperation to the Mueller team and is prepared to testify that as a candidate, Donald Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. Yeah!
Okay, that's all fake news. We know that now. We know that was made up by ABC and Brian Ross, who should be fired, but they're not going to fire him. Because remember, just like I was talking about with the FBI, the mainstream media won't fire these people because they're doing what the whole plan, they're carrying it out. Had Brian Ross not been caught in what they were doing, then he wouldn't have been suspended. But I would even go further as to say that they may have known that he was going to be, that this was going to blow up, And they may have realized before they even did it, we'll probably have to suspend him for a while, but we're not going to fire you. And he probably went, I'll be the sacrificial lamb. I'll go right along with it. And so they pushed this out. Do you know how many people that watch these shows that's where they get their news? So they're not going to know the difference now. Plus, all these, over that couple of days until this came out that Brian Ross had falsely reported this stuff, these trolls that we see on Twitter and other places, these non-bathing, stinky, uneducated, opinionated fools, these trolls that don't have anything else to do with their life except for indulge themselves and their own egos and do drugs, they go out together in unity and they tweet this stuff all over the place together. Right? So they do that. They are the ground units. They have the propaganda mouthpieces, and they all work together. Let's listen to what else she says. Look how stupid she acts, first of all.
Prepared to testify that as a candidate, Donald Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. Yeah!
Except they didn't.
Beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and it's beginning to look a lot like collusion.
This looks like you get a car.
Another liar.
You get a car reaction from the audience, by the way.
He goes to jail. He goes to jail. He goes
And
to
the
jail.
one conservative know-nothing, Meghan
On
McCain.
election night, I had to wear a veil. I was in mourning. So this is like the antithesis of that hideous night. And that's why I'm happy.
Even though there's clapping and screaming and everyone's excited, it's also a mixed emotion thing, which is bad. But that doesn't mean it's good for the country either way. That's really bad if the present day president there is collusion proven here. So it's not.
Had Hillary Clinton gotten elected, there would have been. Trust me on that one. There would have been. So the point of me bringing all this stuff up here, folks, is that after seeing this tweet when Sean Hannity, tweet out that I was going to come on there, and the vile stuff that came from all these weirdo trolls and the person that just trying to be a tough guy wrote "lick him up" instead of lock him up. That's how antsy they get because they're all stinky and on drugs and stuff. So here's the reality, folks. We have got to get ourselves more organized. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do it in secret. You just have to do it together, and you have to have the truth. Let truth be your narrative. And then we really need a hierarchy of how we get this stuff out. That is not happening. And until that happens, we're going to continue to be inundated by these weirdos, like the trolls here on Twitter, and every once in a while we'll get one on Facebook. But more or less, these smelly, stinky, dumb millennial types who dropped out of college or never went to college, probably dropped out of high school because they're rich, and they live off daddy or stepdaddy's money. They watch YouTube videos and read articles that people send them that are written by people that believe what they do. And so they never get any smarter. They don't have any life experiences. But what they do have, besides being stinky and on drugs, is they have unity. They do. So that folks, is what we have to battle against. And I hope tonight, seeing what I'm talking about with the FBI and with the media and the left and how organized they are, you should see, and why Brian Ross, for instance, didn't get fired, why Special Agent
Peter Strzok
didn't get fired, got promoted. Actually, I wouldn't doubt if Brian Ross comes back to ABC and gets promoted. You start to see that there's evidence for this nonsense all over the place. So here's the last thing I want to talk about real quick. I'm not even doing the different blocks and all that stuff tonight. Is the Supreme Court has allowed, let me get rid of this. The Supreme Court permits full enforcement of and listen, even on Fox News they get it wrong sometimes. It's not the travel ban, okay? It's the travel, it's the immigration restrictions. I put travel restrictions because immigration was too long on the title of the show, but it's really immigration restrictions, okay? It's not a travel ban. They keep using that word travel ban. That doesn't make any sense. It's not defining what exactly is happening. There are immigration restrictions for people from certain countries that you cannot come through those countries because ultimately those countries and where these locations are at are huge vulnerabilities for this country and for other countries because jihadists can move their people around, and so we're putting a stopgap on that. So the Supreme Court allowed that to go full enforcement now. After all these different courts across the country have tried to stop that, now they're actually finally letting this go full force. And what's interesting about it is when you look at the two judges that dissented in this, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor, two of the biggest leftists on this court, it shows you the reality of what we're dealing with here, folks. We're not dealing with a neutral court. We're dealing with a court that is owned by the Democratic and the Republican parties. And I've often said that. I think that both of those parties are dangerous. And I think that this is another example where instead of looking at the case for what it is and why it should never even been brought to begin with, because the president has this in his authority to do these things. The reality is these big companies that these judges are in bed with and the Democratic Party that the judges are in bed with across the country, they're doing those people's work and they're not keeping things neutral. So our judicial branch of government is completely broken. All right, with that being said, folks, I've got to close this up because my leg is starting to scream at me right now. So it's been tomorrow it'll be 1 week since the surgery tomorrow. So let's go to the truth zone. You know I'm getting out of here. If I'm getting out of here quick, you know I'm rising up in pain. Make sure that you share this show. Even if you're a troll and you hate me, share it. Let's get more people on here. I don't care. Get them on here. Let them argue back and forth. That way we let the trolls say whatever they want, and we'll continue to have our conversations. Remember old YouTube over here. There's never anybody really over on YouTube. 29 people. It's always restricted to the same amount of people. And God bless you guys. Thank you for carrying up over there. I think one day what we should do is everybody should just leave Facebook and Twitter and go over to YouTube, and we'll ride that out for a while, and then we'll go back and forth and see how. Maybe we'll try that one day. I don't know. Right now, let's just close up this show. So make sure you share the show. If you're on Twitter, make sure you retweet it. If you're on Facebook, make sure you share it. Make sure that you like my page on Facebook, that you follow me on Twitter, and that you subscribe to my page over on YouTube. Make sure that if you have not gotten my book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, which I'll do another commercial for here in just a second, make sure that you go out and order that right now. It is going to be, people are actually going to be getting it on December 12th. So that's going to ship early, not shipping on December 12th. You're actually going to get it on December 12th. And we've upped the printing of that book now. It's over 20,000 books are being printed. So you're going to want to order this now so you're one of these people that get this so it's not on back order when it comes to Christmas time, so that you can learn how to defend yourself by looking at your life and all the different sectors from an attacker's point of view, so that you can understand who would attack you, why they would attack you, where they would attack you, and when that attack would happen and how it would be carried out. Once you get all that stuff and you see how these attackers think and plan those, you'll be able to do it to yourself. You'll be able to avoid or eliminate all those. And if you're caught up, you're going to learn how to escape, evade, or if you have to, fight. We talk about all that in the book. Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival. Make sure that you go out and order that today. And last but not least, don't forget about the GoFundMe page. I really want December to be, and I really want everybody to think about this. I know the core people that watch this show are watching right now. I want you all to, as you get ready for Christmas and all this stuff, don't forget about the GoFundMe page. I really want to have a December drive so that after the book comes out in December and January rolls around, that's when I'm going to start moving. And I really do want to have the funds in the GoFundMe account so that I can go out and start doing these trips. I know I've been talking about this. The book is is in print right now. It's going to be starting to sell on December 12th. I'm almost finished with the audiobook, which is probably one of the biggest mountains I've ever climbed. And I want to get out and start moving in January, February. Let's populate the GoFundMe page. We got to 45,000. That supported me over the past year and a half in doing this show. I want to get in the month of December, I want to get over 50,000. So that, remember, that's a toll. That's the total that's been donated. That money gets spent as we go along, whether it be to buy equipment and so on and so forth, the trips that we go on, all these different things. Remember, a lot of these speeches that I give, I'm not getting paid for. I'm using that money to finance the speeches, and then and that way we continue to build the CQRF and get the truth out there. So it's GoFund.me/The Experts Roadshow. And you'll see it scroll across the screen right here in just a second. So make sure that you do all that. Follow me on Twitter, like my page on Facebook, subscribe to me on YouTube, go order the book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival on Amazon, and donate this month. Get everybody that we can to donate to the GoFundMe page. There it is right there, GoFund.me/The Experts Roadshow. All right. Let's go to the Truth Zone. Yeah, even you trolls, you can go with me to the Truth Zone. Although you'll have to stand outside and look in because you're stinky. Let's do it.
How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.
Hit the wrong button. All right, folks. We learned a lot tonight. Even as it comes together sometimes in my mind, it becomes more clear and more evident as I go through the show. Believe it or not, that's the way it works a lot of the times. I don't have a script. I'm not going by a script. I write a little bit of an outline, and then I let it roll, and it just comes out as I'm analyzing this real time for you guys. It's kind of like when I do this show, it's kind of like an hour-long interview when I'm a guest on a show and I'm doing the analysis. That's really what it's like. So remember, I've served in these different aspects as a SEAL or as a cop, a SEAL, a federal air marshal, a security contractor, an FBI special agent. I've been in media now for over 4 years. I've seen the way things work. I've used my investigative skills to peer into the different aspects of not only media but also politics. And folks, we've got a problem in this country, as we talk about, and we know that this country has been subverted. What we see now, though, is the very same people that go out and lead the protests about different types of oppression. The same people that go out and lead protests for equality and getting rid of the glass ceiling and respect for women. The same people that go out and lead these fake protests because of whatever aspects of hatred of Donald Trump that they have. What you see are those same exact people are the trolls that come on to these different shows and use profanity, call people gay, call people, they condemn people using the same language that they're out there protesting that other people don't use. You have to remember that when you're dealing with these people. The fact that they're all over this show on Twitter is actually a good sign, folks, because what does it show? It shows that they've recognized us, and it shows that we ourselves are growing, because they don't go on to people's shows that aren't popular. They don't go on to people's shows that are saying what they want to hear.
They go onto people's shows that are growing, that where people think realistically, where they're not part of a narrative, and then they try to either bully those people or they try to secrete their narrative in there. And that's what we're not doing. We're not going to allow that to happen. But it's a good thing. I know it's hard to think of it that way, but it is a good thing. So trolls and all you leftists out there, look, you're a lot like Satan, okay? The whole outcome of this thing has already been written, and you're not going to win. But you don't know that yet, so we'll let you play your game. And just like Satan is one of the biggest validators of the fact that God exists and that Jesus died for our sins, he himself, in his quest to destroy them, actually validates them. Well, trolls, you guys do the same thing. The fact that you show up, the fact that your narrative is the same thing that's spewed on mainstream media and by liars on television and by liars in politics, the very fact that you show up to this show shows us that we are valid. Remember that, folks. In the midst of these people, these liars, is validation for you and I. I'm Jonathan Gillum. My good buddy Rico's over there asleep. Remember, wherever you see this face, wherever you hear my name, the truth has arrived. I'll see you tomorrow on The Experts. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.